In a land far away, where rivers sang and the sun painted golden strokes across the fields, there lived a woman named Lola. Her name was known in every village, in every market, and even in the whispers of children playing by the streams. Lola was beautiful, not just in the way her eyes sparkled or her smile warmed hearts, but in the way she lived. She was generous with her time, kind to strangers, and gentle with the poor. But her most extraordinary gift was her hair. It flowed like endless rivers, shimmering under the sun, glowing under the moon. Some said her hair held the whispers of the ancestors. Others said it was a gift from the gods themselves. Whatever the truth, everyone agreed Lola's hair carried magic. People came from far and wide carrying their troubles to Lola's door. A mother whose child could not walk bent low, whispering into Lola's strands, and the child took his first steps. A farmer who had lost his harvest prayed into the hair, and the next season his fields bloomed with abundance. A lonely widow went into the strands wishing for comfort and found her heart healed with peace. But the hair had rules. It only answered wishes whispered with a pure heart. If someone came with greed, envy, or deceit, the hair twisted their desire into a curse. And so Lola's home became a place of both wonder and warning. Among those who often sat at Lola's side was her friend, Karen. At least, that's what Lola thought she was. Karen smiled, laughed, and pretended to rejoice in Lola's blessings. But inside, her heart burned with envy. Why should Lola have all the beauty? Why should she be the one everyone runs to? What about me? She thought bitterly. Day by day, Karen's envy grew like a creeping weed. She began to imagine what life would be like if she were admired more than Lola. And one night, under the silver gaze of the moon, envy pushed her to act. The night was quiet. The crickets sang softly. Lola lay fast asleep, her magical hair spread across the floor like a shining river. Karen crept in, her heart pounding. She knelt beside the glowing strands and whispered with trembling lips, "Oh, magical hair, grant me a wish. Let my hair grow longer and more beautiful than Lola's so that all may admire me instead of her." The strands shimmered as if listening. For a moment, Karen's heart leapt with hope. She imagined the villagers cheering her name, men marveling at her beauty, women envying her glory. But because her wish was poisoned by envy, the hair granted it with a twist. The very next morning, Karen awoke to find her hair pouring down her shoulders, growing past her knees, crawling across the floor. She laughed with glee at first. "At last," she cried, "now I shall be admired too." But soon her delight turned to dread. Her hair grew heavy, pulling her head back, giving her blinding headaches. It tangled into knots that no comb could undo. The strands carried a strange smell, and flies swarmed around her wherever she went. Worse still, she tripped and stumbled, falling into mud, knocking over baskets, making a fool of herself. People began to whisper, not in admiration, but in disgust. Some laughed at her, others avoided her, and because the hair never stopped growing, her misery grew with it. The more she begged it to stop, the longer it grew. She became trapped in her own envy. She hid in her home, but the hair crept under the door, spilling into the street. Children mocked her, calling her the woman swallowed by her hair. Traders refused to sell her food because her tangled strands knocked over stalls. And the worst part, people were drawn to her, not with love, but with pity and curiosity. Karen, who never liked being around people, now had crowds following her every move. Her beauty had turned to ugliness. Her envy had turned to chains. Desperate, broken and weeping, Karen dragged herself back to Lola's home. Lola opened the door to find her once smiling friend collapsed at her feet, tangled in endless strands. "Please, Lola," Karen cried. Her voice was hoarse. "Beg your hair to stop mine from growing. I cannot bear this curse any longer." But Lola's eyes, filled with both sadness and wisdom, looked deep into Karen's soul. "Karen," she said softly, "the hair obeys only a pure heart. I cannot command it for you. If you wish for freedom, you must purify your own heart." Karen sobbed, clutching her endless strands. "But how? Tell me, please." Lola placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "That is for you to discover." And so Karen began her painful journey. At first, she resisted. Her old habits tugged at her, but little by little, she began to change. She carried water for the elderly woman down the lane, even though her hair tangled behind her. She began giving food to hungry children, even though she once kept everything for herself. She tended to the sick, even sitting by their beds when the smell of her own hair made her gag. She began to smile sincerely, not out of envy, but out of love. With every kind act, something within her shifted. The people who once mocked her began to see her differently. They whispered, "Karen has changed." And in her heart, for the first time, Karen felt peace. Her hair still grew, wild and endless, but she no longer hated others. She no longer envied Lola. Finally, Karen returned to Lola, her eyes filled with humility. She knelt before the glowing strands again, her voice trembling, but this time not with envy, only with sincerity. "Magical hair, I have learned to love. I have learned to be kind. Please release me." The strands shimmered with a golden light, brighter than ever before. Slowly, Karen's endless hair began to shrink, coil, and fade until at last it returned to its natural state. Karen wept with joy, and Lola embraced her. From that day on, Karen was no longer the envious shadow at Lola's side. She became a true friend, kind, generous, and grateful for the lesson she had learned. And so the people remembered the tale of Lola and her ever-growing hair. They learned that beauty without kindness is an empty crown, and that envy only chains the heart. For true freedom lies not in possessing what others have, but in being content, generous, and pure of heart. Thank you for watching this story on Tales by Ezzy. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Share this video with someone who loves folktales, and join us again for more magical stories that inspire and delight.